All right, now for part 2 of our hand mandala, we're going to put our name up here in a really interesting way. So you're going to need a pencil, your Sharpie, and your colored pencils or crayons again. So let's see, here's get a nice pencil ready. All right, so I do my name all the time. There's a couple tricks to making sure your name looks good. One, make sure it fits without scrunching it in the end. So let me just do my last name, so Jerry. So I could only get Jerr. What? No. You have to start moving things around. So I don't need to make my E that big. And I can move my J closer to this side. So I'm going to tuck my E in a little closer. You might not be able to see what I'm doing. All right, now it fits. Jerry. Because I'm doing it in pencil. And sometimes you can't see when I work in pencil. And I work lightly so I can erase. But what I did was I just moved my letters over. I didn't even erase the original letters because it was just a light drawing to help me get my spacing. So I'm just going to clean it up a little bit. And then I want to make sure that my letters, so the first thing was spacing. I want to make sure they fit. Now I want to make sure they're the same height. Unless you're doing lowercase letters, then those should all be the same height. Your capitals should be above them. And they should be the same height on the bottom. So my J is a little bigger, but that's my first letter of my name, so I'm going to let that go like that. I think I'm actually going to make a J like this. All right. So now I'm ready to make it look cool. For this, I have to flip it over because I can't do it upside down. Well, I could, but I don't want to mess this up. So I know for sure I want my J to be like that kind of J where it has a T top. And there's a couple ways that are easy to do this. So let me just make a regular J. And then I'll make my other letters. E. Actually, I want to keep this easy for you all out there. R. I'll make my R's look about the same, so I'm not going to connect that there. And then my Y. Alright, here's an easy way to make cool letters. So I just did the regular plain letters. I didn't make bubble letters or anything. Now I'm going to go around my letters. So I'm going to go around each letter at least twice. If it gets too close to the other letter, you're going to have to go under, or you're going to have to make it look like it goes under by just stopping. This is an easy way to make interesting letters and bubble letters, because if you want these to be bubble letters, you just erase the inside letter. Alright, when I go around the second time, I'm going to start with my J so that the first letter always overlaps the second letter. So now I'm going to go around again. Well, I have to stop there. I'll go back to here. And then bump it in. Now my E, I'll have to stop there. And there. See my R. Bump. 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 My next R. Changing that a little bit right there. Bump, bump. And I think, nope, my Y is going to hit the R there. There. That looks a lot cooler than just a single line letter. And it wasn't very hard. I just had to make sure that I kept my spaces an even distance apart or parallel as much as possible. And I took my time. I didn't go all crazy. I made sure I came back and connected. So, voila. Now for these parts, I want to continue with that same idea. So I'm going to go around and around this. But instead of using pencil, I'm going to go to paint. Since we did this in crayon, it's not going to matter if we get a little bit on there. Well, it will matter a little bit if I get it in there. So I'm going to be careful. So I'm going to pick a color to start with. I think I'm going to start with blue. And I only want you to use 2 colors. So I'm going to go with blue and red. And I want to put something under that so I don't get the edge of my table all painted. And I want to keep my painting in front of me. So I'm going to keep turning it. I don't want to have to reach across. It's a good way to keep your sleeve out of your painting and to keep your eyes on what you're doing. I don't know if you notice, when I paint, I push down kind of hard on the brush when I'm trying to make it come right on the edge. That is because when I push down hard, I can see the edge. It doesn't bob up and down with pressure from me pushing. I like to start it just like that. And just in case I get my sleeve in there, I'm going to pull my sleeves up. And back to the beginning, I'm going to brush that backwards to fade it a little more in so it doesn't look like it has a starting spot. I'll do that here and there, just to get it to look more even. All right, now we're going to switch to red, and then I'll just keep going, blue, red, until I hit my letters, and then I'll kind of stop here with everything. So I'm going to pause. All right, I'm getting close to the end, and I think I'm just going to fill with red in the corners. Now I see a couple spots where I have too much paint. So let me show you what to do. Squeeze the water out of your brush and then mop it off. Squeeze the water out, mop it off. As you get closer to the edge, or to the corner, your spaces are smaller, and then you don't need as much paint. So I'm just going to finish that off like a little bit like that. Go right up to the Y. I'll make that just kind of make a triangle. All right. So I'm done with this bottom half, but I still have my name to deal with. So we're going to go back into our name, and we're going to trace everything with Sharpie. So let me stop this, and I'll come back. All right, I'm all done sharpieing my name. I'm going to use those same 2 colors to color my name. So I'm going to kind of work backwards. And I want a really dry brush, so I'm trying to get as much of the paint scraped off as I can, so I can stay inside the lines a little better. So in order to get those really skinny lines, I have to lift up high on my brush. If you would like to use a marker instead for this, you could do that. So that was a little too much there, so I don't know, I might have to go back and mop it. So mopping is when you squeeze the water out of your brush and you just kind of wipe up any extra paint. So I gotta be real careful. I've been kind of going in and out of the line there. The nice thing about the watercolor though is that you're going to be able to see through the watercolor and into the Sharpie, so you're going to see your old name. Even if you make a mistake, you'll still see your name. It won't get lost because of the paint. I haven't had to put more paint on my brush yet till now. And I'm going to be real, I forgot to wipe it off. There we go. Alright, that's all inside. There. Alright, now I'm going to leave that alone and let that dry. This mess you're seeing is actually my paper underneath. And I'm going to have to leave that alone. While I'm waiting for that to dry, I'm going to go back to my crayons and I'm going to pick a color that I was using. I don't know if I want to go back to my, I think I'll go to orange. And I'm going to outline that blue while it's drying and use the same gradation technique that I showed you on the hands to go really hard around the lettering and then fade it out as you get further away. So I'm going to fade it out. Do a little bit at a time, fade it out. Fade it out. Just fade to white. So I'm not even going to color in there. The only color this doesn't really work with, and actually the color, that's why I hesitated when I started. I really wanted to use yellow, but I didn't. Yellow is hard to show a fade with. Usually when I use yellow, I have to go back into it with brown to show that fading because the yellow is just too light against the white paper to show the fade. So I'm going to do the outside first so I don't have to put my hand in there either. Because I don't want to get, that blue might still be a little wet. I don't want it to spread all over the place. Reach over and get the insides. Try not to get my hand in there. You know, watercolor artists actually have different tools they use to keep their hands out of their paintings while they're painting. One's called a bridge. It's actually a plastic bridge. It goes on either side of your painting and it has little stands, and then it goes across like this so it's not actually touching it, and then you can put your hand on there and paint. So just one of those little tricks that artists use. Actually, did I miss something there? I did, I think. I think I missed this part of my R. maybe not. All right, keep going. To me, a lot of art is like, especially this kind of art, it's like a puzzle. Actually, that should be, there should be a blue line on there. Let me do that before I color. Because it's supposed to go around the whole letter. So, oh, I see what I did there. Oh, maybe not. I changed the style of my R when it came around, so it would not actually have the blue. It's going to be red in there. So instead of just waiting for it to dry, I'm doing something else while that's drying. Now in a small space, there isn't too much gradation because you just don't have the room for it. All right, here's my last piece. I'll go along that edge, along that edge. See, this might not have a lot either. So I'll go that way, and that way, and that way, and that way, and that way. Kind of like raindrops in a puddle converging in on each other. I'm going to dust that a little bit with my orange. There. All right, now I'm ready for the red, and then I'll be done. So I'm just going to fill in these with red, and that's going to be it. Let me just pause again. It's getting kind of long. All right, I'm finished. It's all painted, colored. No big white spaces left. Looks interesting. My hands, my name. That's why I had you do your name over it, because it is your hands. It's our name hand mandala.